welcome back to the Workhorse Westclox 66 reassembly, and we're going to finish off the reassembly. So what is left to do? Well, quite a bit actually. We have the knobs, which are quite a main thing, so I'm just going to start with them. So the first thing I'm going to do is press on two of the knobs. So let's start with the hammer knob, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently press it onto here. That's the hammer thing, like that. And then I'm going to take it over to my hammering station, which I can't really show right now because the camera doesn't get there. But what it is basically got this big hunk of lead and a sturdy table or platform to put it on, solid wood. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one end of the knob, put it flat on this lead, then I'm going to get a hammer and carefully just hammer the end of the hammer pivot, that little bit of black steel there. Try not to get anything else. So it's probably able to do it on here, like that. And I think we've got it on enough. You don't need particularly a lot of force. You can pull it and it won't come off again. That's all you need really. Same with the time knob. I don't think we can do it on it. It's just cardboard, isn't it? I don't think it's going to be solid enough, but we'll try anyway. So where's the time knob? Was it the one with the slot or the one without the slot? I think it was the one without the slot. No, one with the slot rather. So I'm just going to get it on to this centre here. You need to be very happy that you've got everything together. And put one end on there and just give it a thump. And when you pull it with your bare hands, it will not come off. If it does, then you need to hammer it on a bit tighter. We'll use a vice to press it on or something. But now we have good control over this when we turn it. And that is going to be used to set the time. So now we have the alarm to do. So the anvil away for a moment. And we take a look at these parts we have left in the bowl. With the alarm cam on the trip shaft, which is this metal stick. And we have the hour wheel, hour pipe. That's where the hour hand goes onto. So we're going to put that on there now. Like that. And we have this. Now this is the timing disc, I suppose you can call it. Just going to slightly bend that up because it looks a bit flat. And this little protrusion on it is going to slide on the bottom of here. Friction disc, I think it's called. And when the time for the alarm comes on, then it's going to change the distance between these two parts. Look at that. And that is what controls the alarm to go on and off. So, before we put that on, this is the alarm trip spring. So I'm going to undo this bolt here, not for the last time, because we're going to undo it again, but just to secure things on right now. Now don't pull the plates apart, they should have enough grip to hold themselves together with one bolt missing. And you want to put it through here so that the downward angle is at the top. So it should be like this, with that little hole in the bottom end and the downward angle at the top. Put this through there, and then we're going to gently bolt it onto here. Now I'm not going to bolt it on the full force, just a little bit. Okay, so it's not going to spring up yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a slight pull like that, just to give it a bit more bounce, because I always do that. And we should have this hole line up there, like an eye. So, we get our trip shaft, stick it through there, so that it goes over the top of the hour wheel. And then, underneath, we can see the trip shaft. I'm turning it and moving it around now, inside the movement, if I focus the camera. See it moving around there. The end of it, I'm going to slot a little washer with a rectangular hole. Remember this? Slot that over the end of that shaft. So I'll get some tweezers, and I'm going to slot it on the end of that shaft. Ooh. Easy thing to drop. This might take a few takes because I'm a bit clumsy with this. These are literal gold dust, these little washers. I don't know if you can buy them anywhere else, but they're literally they are just as important as any other part in this, but they're easily overlooked. So I'm going to slot up, if I can, on the end of the trip shaft. Got it. You see it on there, and then I can push it up through that hole, and the washer should stop it going a particular distance. So if we look on the other side, we have this thing. We have the trip spring going under that thing so it won't move. We have the hour wheel under the friction disc, under the alarm cam. Maybe this is called the friction disc actually. I don't know. One of them is called the friction disc and I don't know which one it is. Let's call this a cheese wheel as we did before because it looks like a wheel of cheese. And this the alarm timing disc. So I'm going to line it up so that the thing is in the notch. So that is the alarm on time. And then I'm going to turn it back over again and find our little washer, spring-shaped washer, or eye-shaped spring. Slot it over there, like that. And then I'm going to get our knob, our other knob, and fit it over there gently. Oh, it does have a slot in it. Okay, sorry about that. And like so. I'm not going to be able to press it on with bare hands, but I can just line up enough to do that. So I'm going to rest it so the end of that same shaft, with the thin bit at the end, there is down into the lead, like that. I think it's lead. Make sure the timing is in the notch again. Otherwise you might fold the notch flat. And position. Oh, it's all coming apart on me. Hang on. Classic. Position it like that, so the whole thing is resting on that end of that shaft. And position it like that, and start with a couple of gentle taps, and you should be able to get it on, but I think I did the wrong knob. I think I should have gone for the other one. So what I'm going to do is slightly widen it, maybe with a screwdriver. I don't know. I think I put the time knob on put the alarm knob on the time shaft, and it should be the same though. I think it's just slightly different tolerance, maybe been used before. And I'm gonna try. Oh, I wish it wasn't so clumsy. Try and get this on the end. So I'll try and hold it like that at the same time. But this is where I'm going to need to use my solid ground. So I'll be back whilst I hammer it on. Just want to hammer that on there. So with quite a lot of banging, I managed to get this knob on. I didn't do anything secret off camera. It's literally just hammered it on as it was. And now we should be able to just twist this washer, and it should have enough. No, I think it's still not stiff enough. That's a shame. Okay, what I'm going to do is hammer it even more, and hopefully it gets on even tighter. Back in a sec. Okay, I think we finally got it. Hammered it a bit more. And if we can twist this on, hopefully, it's not too stiff now. Twist this on like that, so the ends are in the holes like it was before we disassembled it in the beginning. Hopefully I haven't done it too far. Rather than doing it too loose, I suppose. And I'm doing all this heavy work before I put the balance wheel in, for obvious reasons, because it's quite a fragile piece, the balance wheel, and yeah, now it's quite stiff, so that's good. It's better than being too loose, because now when you turn the time knob, the middle one, that brass cam up there should not turn a whisker, and it isn't, which is great. So now I'm going to undo this one again, and underneath it, underneath the trip shaft, I'm going to put the bell. Because in the Scottish ones, the bell goes underneath the trip shaft there, and it seems to be the opposite in Canada. Because I think with Greg's one, if you see the Gregola Horology Club, he's also servicing, or I think he's already done it now, a 1954 Spur. It seems as though the Canadian ones have the bell on top of the trip spring, whereas the ones here have the trip spring on top of the bell. And it is not doing anything. Oh no, wait. So I'm going to put the other end of the bell on here. There was a quicker way of doing this. We didn't need to unscrew this one all the way, but I did it wrong. That's okay. That's still manageable. Like that. And now, what we should have is a situation wherein turning this knob makes this piece of metal, the end of the trip spring, see there, that square tab at the end, it'll focus, yeah, see that square tab at the end, that should flip out when if you look down there you see the cam, when this cam touches the wheel, that tab should flip out as it did, which is great, and it'll go back in again now, like that. That is excellent, and that is one of two conditions. So when the thing is not in the notch and this hammer pressed in, then this will be very, very overlapped. When either the knob is off, the knob is not in the notch, and the hammer pulled out rather, or the hammer pressed in and the knob is in the notch, then you'll have this half state. So we have either, I wish this would focus, either this, which is a semi-overlap, or the thing is at the right time. Oh, please stop not focusing. It's at the right time, but the thing is not out. Then we have this other semi-overlap. Only when both the thing is in the notch and we pull the hammer out is the hammer free to do this. And it's not, oh yeah it is, and it's clearing the flag, which is great. I'm going to slightly, it is quite marginal though, so I'm going to bend this slightly out, a tiny amount. I don't like marginal things. And now, it is completely free to move past the flag until we push it back in again to turn the alarm off. So on, ring, 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 off, not going to ring. Excellent. So I think we are in a pretty good state. We've got this almost completely reassembled. So what I'm going to do now is first of all get the other balance cup and put it into the movement, and then we will install the final part, which is the balance wheel. So I'm going to thread this into there. Remember, it's quite stiff. The later ones had a flat blade screw head in them, but these earlier ones have a twistable flap. And I'm going to get some oil. This is clock oil for clocks and not much else. Got my clean screwdriver. And I'm going to put some oil on the end of it, and then I'm going to oil the clock with it. I'm not going to put the oil directly from the pot into the thing, because that's going to just cause a lot of oil to go everywhere. You can't over oil these things, and too much oil can actually be harmful because it builds up and then just runs out of the clock, gets everywhere. And oil everything. All the pivots, that is. Don't go spraying oil onto the actual plates, because that won't really do you any favours. And to this side as well. And yeah, do be afraid to use too much oil, honestly. The tiniest drop. When you see the oil sink into that little hole there, that's great, but don't go any further than that. It should collect around the pivot and stay inside its little well, little oil sink. I've over oiled a tiny bit there. And then I'll get the same oil and put it into these balance cups. So put some there, down to there, turn it upside down, put some into there, and also even more oil. I'm going to put some in this little fork at the end of the pallet. That's the where the impulse pin of the balance wheel goes. See that in there, that little fork at the end. And also on the pins of the pallet as well. Like that. And there we have it. So hopefully we should have a oiled machine that's not running oil everywhere. So let's take our balance wheel. May as well get straight to it. Hairspring is not particularly straight, but when we pin it in it should get better. So let me just prepare it. Da-da-dum-da-dum. A moment. There's a hair wrapped around it. It's been sitting out for a bit. That's good, isn't it? Yeah, make sure this is completely clean, especially the points at the end. Okay, and I'm going to put it in there. So this is fiddly. So with the knobs facing upwards, the spring should also be on the top like that. And you're going to align that little pin on there. So that's the impulse pin. Align that pin sticking out into the end of the fork of the pallet. And you put it in. So slot it into there. And then line up the pivots, points of the pivots into the balance cups. And I over tighten the balance cup a tiny bit, so I'm just going to undo it in order to get the point in there. And there, now it's in. So that's not going to go anywhere. And, oop, no it is. I didn't tighten it up in time. Too busy explaining. And then put that in there. Be careful before the hairspring gets tangled into anything. And fit it. Oop. Yeah, you need to watch out for that hairspring. And it's caught on something, I don't know what. Ah, there we go. So I'll do that same thing I did before. Put one end into there. Like, get that thing in the fork. Like that. Put one end into the balance cup on one side, and then the other end into the other balance cup. Like that. And then, before it falls out again, I'm going to tighten it up. And yes, it was fiddly, like I said. And when it does this, it should move. So then, I'm going to roll it around all the way this way. And get it to a point where I can thread the spring through. So, as I rotate it, I'm going to make sure the end of the hairspring first go through this regulator lever. There's a little slot on the back of it. Make sure it goes through there. Like that. You see that slot is going through that hole? Not quite. Hard to do on camera, I've got to say. There we go. It's going through. It's a kink at the end, but that's normal. That's the offset bend. Keeps it aligned. Makes up for the distance between the stud. And then get it around through all the way so that it protrudes through the front of this hole. This is the stud. Okay. Like that. And then we should have it where the kink is right at the stud. So that's how it was in the beginning, I think. Look at that. The kink is at the stud. And we want to line up the hairspring to be in the middle. Don't worry about how bent it is, just worry about lining up in the middle. Then finally we got a little wedge. Take the wide fat end and stick it in there first, because that's only the thin end. Like that. Oh no, it's coming out again. Okay. And just to keep it in there, I'm just going to stick it in with pliers, so it's nice and tight. The later ones actually have a pin instead of a wedge. See, it wants to run already, but the hairspring itself isn't particularly good. So I'm just going to slightly tweak it. Well, that is running really fast. I'm going to slightly tweak it so that the hairspring is not bunched up at all, so the coils are evenly spaced apart. And that is important. And we're running very well. That is not great. Not great hairspring this, it's a bit bent. You see that it's slightly ajar, skewed. The main thing you want to worry about though is none of the coils should be touching each other when it expands. If it does, then just try and make them not touch. But I think we got it running well, and this should be running away like this. This is quite a good amplitude for this movement. If it's slightly less vibrant than this, then I think you can excuse that as well. But if it's slugging along, then you might want to rethink cleaning, or maybe the points on the balance are quite dull. But this one, I think we got quite lucky with this, because this is running very, very well. So, thank you for watching, and this is the end of this movement assembly. I think we should all be happy with this result. Clean, and it's working. But we don't know if it keeps time yet. So that is down to the next part, which is the putting back in the case. So, thank you for watching.